Well, good morning and welcome to the Magmatic Resources Investor Webinar. I'm Jane Morgan, and today I am joined by our Executive Chairman, David Richardson, and our Managing Director, Peter Duridan. Today we'll be running through an investor presentation, which was just lodged on the ASX, followed by a Q&A session. I will now hand you over to Peter to kick things off.
Thanks very much, Jane. I will just share my screen this end and bring up the prezzo. Thanks for your interest, everyone, and great to be able to provide an update at the moment when we've got a rig turning at one of our targets north of Cadia. For those not familiar, Magmatic Resources is a gold copper focused junior explorer focused in the East Lachlan in New South Wales, which is host to Australia's largest gold producer there at Cadia East and other major mining districts. And we've got strategic ground and advanced target portfolio, which was purchased back in 2014 out of Goldfields, and we're surrounding some major recent discoveries. Running through some highlights and as a summary, the East Lachlan, it's a world-class gold copper province, as I said, host to Australia's largest gold producer and one of the globe's great mines. Cadia Valley producing regularly up around 900,000 ounces at nearly zero all-in sustaining cost and over $1 billion free cash flow. So we've got strategic ground north of that operation, and we've got a project north of the North Parks porphyry mining operation, Sumitomo operation, and Evolution's Cal. And there's been some significant discoveries made over recent years in places like Cal, which has gone from, since purchased from Evolution back 2014, it's gone from 3 million up to around 10, 11 million ounce gold endowment. And places like Boda, which I'll talk a lot about in terms of our Wellington North project and where we're most active at the moment. And also south of the Tomingley gold operations, Alkane's gold mill there, where we've got some shallow gold opportunities. We're starting to focus on those opportunities as well. As I say, a lot of what I'll talk about now reflects at Wellington North, reflects our current activity. We've been testing multiple targets, which is a clear strategy for us very quickly in and around that Boda discovery, which is a major multi-million ounce, emerging multi-million ounce gold discovery north of Cadia. And we've got lots of supporting evidence which suggests we've got targets showing similarities with Boda. And we're actively trying to test as many of those as we can. All of that tenure and target portfolio sits within 10 and as close as a kilometre from Boda. So I'll run through a lot of those targets, what we're up to, and run through some recent results and our current activity. Also, Mile, our copper gold project north of North Parks, about 50 kilometres. Early in the year, we did some drilling, which is reported very wide, 380 odd metres of 0.2% copper to the end of a hole in an area which we think is prospective for North Park style porphyry cluster. So I'll touch on that and also the work that we're going to be doing within that Parks fault zone south of the Tomingley gold operations. A lot of what we're discussing are these, Australia's largest porphyry mining operations, and so we obviously talk a lot in terms of what we see as economically significant modern bulk underground cave mining techniques have dictated that, have changed what we're looking for from an explorationist point of view. So I'll talk a lot about how that technology changes what we're looking for and why certain intercepts can be significant. Corporately, we're very well funded. Recent raising back in May to test multiple targets in those projects. We've got good alignment from board and management. Goldfields, as I said, the package of ground was purchased out of them when back in the GFC, a truly sort of counter-cyclical acquisition, and they'd spent a lot of money building up the baseline data sets, which is so crucial for porphyry exploration. We're coming in on those targets in an advanced position, and so in the near term, we're going to be testing multiple targets rapidly. East Lachlan, a bit about that. You can see Cadia Valley, globally significant, up over 50 million ounces with significant copper production. That's our main focus for this talk, Wellington North and around the Boda discovery from Alkane. Mile, you can see about 50 k's north of North Parkes and within the Parkes Fault Zone south of Tomingley, where there's been significant discoveries made, and that Tomingley gold field is turning into a multi-million ounce endowment as well. As I say, Cal here as well has been a great story recently, and really focuses attention on this district to be globally significant in terms of gold endowment. In a bit of detail at Wellington North, you can see the location of Alkane's ground and Kaiser and Boda discoveries in green there, and Mag's tenure holding shown in orange. And we've got a cluster of targets. These are the priority ones at the moment, which we're working up at various stages of development and drill readiness. Recent drilling at Rose Hill, along as part of this Rose Hill North trend, and very close to Alkane's Finns Crossing, Murga, Porphyry and Scarn systems, where they're starting to work again on. And the Lady Ilsa district here in the middle, which is showing a lot of similarities in terms of the broad zones of shallow gold and porphyry epithermal pathfinder anomalism, and where we've got a rig turning currently. I'll run through in a bit of detail the work at Lady Ilsa and some of the targeting that we've been doing in the exploration team. So this has been worked up over the last few years. We're starting to line up, get our ducks in a row in terms of some high impact drill holes. So we're going to be drilling in this southern extent of about a kilometre zone of anomalism and these porphyry pathfinders. And you can see there's broad zones of low level gold anomalism, very much akin to the early stage drilling done at Boda by Alkane. And in particular, August 2017, Alkane announcement describes at that time what they were seeing. So some pretty exciting holes going in. This is where the rig is currently on the southern hole, and that'll cut through. It'll test a northwest trending control on mineralisation that we feel could be important here, similar to Alkane's recent interpretation of the high-grade zones within the Boda mineralised envelope. But you can see we've got multiple broad zones of gold anomalism there, and we're going to be coming adjacent and underneath that. Also, some encouragement in the northern extent of the existing drilling there at Lady Ilsa, where we're seeing combined gold-rich porphyry intersections like this 18 metres 0.43 and 0.17 copper. These are very much akin to, if you refer to Alkane's announcements overlying the high-grade zones there, and also from Cadia Valley. These are significant if you compare at an equivalent stage of exploration. Moving on to Mile, as I say, about 50 clicks north from North Parkes within the westernmost Junine-Arramine belt, and this shows a lot of similarities at various scales to the main mineral systems, especially in the Junine-Arramine belt, especially in North Parkes. Gravity, regional gravity image there on the left shows a distinct district gravity low within the belt of dense rocks shown in red there, which is the Junine-Arramine belt, the volcanics. So what's what we're looking to see as a primary exploration criteria. You see the other major mining district at Cal also has within the red zones these distinct low circular features, which Mile has as well. So we're ticking that off. It's an obvious place to go in a regional sense. And then when we look at what the exploration team has been doing over the years, including goldfields, we're seeing from the shallow drilling evidence for anomalous copper, and what you can start to picture is a porphyry cluster at the same scale as what you see down the road at North Parkes. Also just significant intersections. So we've got existing intersections here, which are very much comparable to the mine resource grades at North Parks. So we're very, very close here to defining multiple discoveries. And the most recent hole that Mags conducted is shown here. And we're encouraged by the broad zone of copper anomalism there. And as you'll see in that announcement, strong moly and some pathfinder indications in that drilling. These systems, one of the critical features that is obvious with the major mining centres in the East Lachlan is that they occur as clusters within the district, and so we see that as very encouraging for Magmatic's portfolio in terms of, we're searching for multiple discoveries in and around places like Boda. We think there's great upside in that district. And then Mile, as I say, is showing lots of similarities at the same scale. And we're trying to test them, as many of those as we can, to guide forward exploration. Here is that Mile hole where we've come underneath, adjacent to a monzonite stock, which is the character of and one of the primary controls on these porphyry systems at North Parks. You can see E26, the largest, most porphyry at North Park here schematically shown, and it punches along the edges of these monzonite stocks. That's a feature that you see all through the East Lachlan, but is very, very clear in the North Park systems. So we're one of our primary criteria for exploration is we want to see what's happening along the edges of those features. And sure enough, here at the Kingswood target, we've got significant existing mineralisation, and we're starting to drill and vector down within that. The gold zones in these North Park systems occur down dip within the cores of the system. So the trick is to identify the characteristics of the upper portions of these things and then come down into them, which we'll be doing later in the year in this case. And we've got other targets that we'll be working up and to get to that drill ready stage then as well. Within the Parks fault zone, here 20 or so kilometres south of Alkane's Tomingley gold operations and the recent discoveries. We've got very similar looking gold associations, orogenic gold, showing controls along the edges of porphyritic volcanics and sills, and significant intersections which we'll be following up and prioritising. We're working busily in the background getting these ready and trying to be smart about our exploration and careful in terms of our spend. So every presentation includes an updated of our best guess on the schedule. This is where we're at now. Lady Ilsa is where the rig is currently. We're hoping to continue drilling there based on ongoing success. These 3 holes are critical high impact holes where we think the current distribution of gold and copper shown in the bedrock and the regolith drilling is really supportive that these will be successful. And we'll be working up other targets like Rockley and others in Wellington as we can get them ready for drilling. We'll bring that news to the market. Mile later in the year, we'll be drilling multiple holes in that area, and then Parks will come on as well as we've got them to drill readiness. So yeah, that's that presentation, guys. Back to you, Jane.
Oh, thank you for that. We've had a few questions come through, so I'll jump into them. So in the project around Boda, is there any evidence of skarn-like deposits?
Yes, Jane. I mean, around Boda itself, I won't talk too much about that with Alkane's ground, although I had a lot of experience in that area working with them. But I would say that we've got, very much similar stratigraphy on Magmatic's ground there. Also at the Murga Finns Crossing area that Alkane are discussing, very much a skarn association there. We've got our Rose Hill North, Rose Hill trend there, which we had disappointing drill results from recently, but this is all part of increasing our understanding in that area. We're trying to pick, key high impact holes along the journey here, but clearly exploration is a process of, developing our understanding in areas, and we're working along strike very close to that Alkane skarn there at Murga, Finns Crossing. You can go back, do a Google search on the Boda, Kaiser, Wellington North, Northern Molong, and you'll see some presentations around some of the different rocks that we see in that area, and it does include descriptions of magnetite skarns. But there's some key differences as well in terms of what Boda is, and late 2017 in particular, Alkane's announcement from late 2017, August, showed a lot of detail around how we're able here to show very transparently the similarities that we've got with a place like Lady Ilsa and Boda. Same porphyry pathfinders, broad zones of gold anomalism, same rock types. You know, we've got a large system that's there at a place like Lady Ilsa. It's over 1 kilometre long in terms of mineralisation and what we can see there, and we're just trying to vector towards the richest portions of that. So that's a great target for us to, you know, as our sort of flagship target in that area. But there are dozens of others that we're working up as well and trying to bring into the story.
Well, you actually just answered the next question, just on Lady Elsa, so I'll leave that one for now. So what is the opinion of, this has been one that's come through a few times actually, so what is the opinion of management on the sudden correction in the share price after our announcement with the latest assay results?
Yeah, sure. Obviously, a lot of feedback in relation to that, and taking that on board going forward, clearly. But that's those sorts of events, and that announcement is obviously in the context of what I've been talking about in terms of we're telling the market that we're going to be testing multiple targets rapidly in the near term. You know, the last presentation slide pack that I presented at RIU showed that we're going to be drilling at Lady Ilsa in early June, and that's what we're doing. So we're delivering on some of that. Obviously, the market was getting interested. We were quite encouraged by some of the features we were seeing in that core hole at Rosehill. But as always, you wait to see how the numbers hold together in those zones, and we're looking for key aspects as well in terms of how aggressively we would pursue a target like that. So it's more of a longer term approach there now at Rosehill and Rosehill North. There's a lot to like about that area. As I say, it's just across the boundary from where Alkane are active at their Finns Crossing Murga porphyry skarn target. But at the moment, we've got drill ready targets ready to go, and with a rig turning on them at Lady Ilsa. And so yeah, that's how I'd sort of go about answering that, I guess.
Pete, there's been quite a few questions that you did talk about this through the presentation, but just questions about the cash position and the cash burn.
Yeah, sure. Cash position is strong at the end of last quarter, 6.5 million thereabouts. That allows us to test a lot of targets. You know, with that money, we've got low overheads. We've got a agreement with Australian Gold and Copper, which is a spin-off company that we did late last year and listed on the 20th of January this year. We're sharing corporate costs, corporate office costs, and technical office costs here in Orange, just in amongst the projects here in central western New South Wales. So we're spending it wisely. We're trying to put some high impact holes in along the way, as well as building up these targets to give us more and more technical confidence that we're on the right track. Mineral exploration is exciting, and there's ups and downs along the way, but I'm convinced that we're doing it quite well at the moment and putting money in some really sensible places.
Thank you for that. It actually looks like we've answered all the questions. They were all similar sort of questions. So thank you everybody for joining us today. If we have missed anything, please feel free to reach out via the contact details on our ASX releases.
Thanks, Jane. Thanks everyone's interest.